help us move in the same direction. And again, the community of practice now at the individual level, networking, making contacts, knowing whom to go to. There are formal mentoring programs, there are informal collegial working relationships where people write to each other, phone each other and say like, hey, I'm dealing with this, how do I do that? You know, these are all part of developing the knowledge and skills of individuals. And finally, there's something which is called protection, removal of repercussions for the careers, because especially if you're an evaluator who works in an organization, and if that organization is sensitive about criticism, there is fear that there will be repercussions, that you don't get your promotion, that you don't get an opportunity to move into a different position, and so on. So these are important things to think about if you're developing an evaluation capacity. How would you deal with this? Because it will affect whom you can attract to work in the evaluation office. How will they perform? Will they be feeling, strong enough to stand up, or will they feel the pressure and feel that they have to compromise all the time? And also for their own career progression, because that's something very important to keep in mind. So going now into the process, the starting points, as I was mentioning, endogenous process, that, if it is something which comes from the outside, it's not going to happen, neither for other capacities nor for the evaluation capacities. And so the champion within, yesterday, again, we had an excellent example of that, and she spoke about advocacy to gain the support. I can also say that from my own experience working in the World Food Programme, I'm working constantly on gaining this support and gaining a buy-in that independent evaluation is important. And then using the benchmarks with others, whether you do a peer review or any other exercise, especially at the beginning stage of when you want to start out developing or improving your capacities, is quite helpful, not only for you to know what to do, but also to convince other stakeholders whom you have to bring in to buy into that process and support you. The diagnostic, it's important to agree on what needs to improve, because if there is very little agreement on that, then it is very hard to improve and develop capacities. The importance here is that, yes, it should be a structured process of diagnostics, because what we've seen in some evaluations, or let me put it a different way, what I have seen in all of the capacity development evaluations I've done is that people go in and it's not a caricature, but in most cases the diagnostic says capacities are weak. That tells you a lot, namely nothing. You don't know what they're going to work on, what they want to achieve at the end, where are the problems, how are they going to solve them. Quite often the solution is, let's ship in lots of consultants and send some people away for training. And then you come in and evaluate and you don't actually really know what happened, and everybody says, oh, but it was really good. So let's not do the same mistakes for ourselves when we develop evaluation capacities. Let's do structured diagnostics. Where is the problem? Is it that at the enabling environment you don't get the support from the senior stakeholders, and there is no culture for accountability or learning? Or is it really just more on the technical level? Or is it on all three levels? In most cases it is on all three levels. You need to build up, say, the technical capability so that your evaluations are more profound and they're more credible, and that will bring the top leaders around to believe that evaluation is useful and that they can stand up to also criticism. And obviously you would want to look at the principles of evaluation. Do we have independence secured? Are we weaker in utility? Where are the problems? Participatory process. It's not something where you want to sit in your office and just sort of write something up, but you want to bring in various stakeholders. And some stakeholders you will not be able to bring on board, and you'll have to just sort of schedule them for later. You have to bring them into the process later. We heard yesterday about examples of building and working with the champions, the people who are going to buy into this and be good advocates for this. So I think it's very important to build on that same level. And peer reviews I've already mentioned. Agreed outcomes. This is important so that we understand what our expectations are. Agreed outcomes, like what should the function be able to do, what should the evaluation system like at the end of it, and by when. It helps working towards the same goals, and ideally we should apply what we preach to others. We should have our own SMART objectives, and actually Frederick Martin was giving yesterday a presentation where he used the logical framework approach for evaluation capacity development. I completely agree with him. That is, if we have that standard by which we hold others accountable, we have to be able to live up to that same standard for ourselves. Apart from that, it is a useful tool. Flexible process, as I was saying, and I don't mind repeating this message. Capacity development is not a blueprint approach. You can't sort of say like, okay, I mean, if you build a dam or a road, yes, you do need a blueprint. You need to make a design. You have to have all the specs on the structural issues and so on. But capacity development is a flexible approach because it's human beings. We had a very good presentation on CBOs or CSOs yesterday about, you know, all the necessary flexibility, the dynamics, the interaction. Capacity development is very much that. And in that also, somebody used the term being opportunistic. To some extent, yes, you have to be opportunistic. If you see there is somebody who starts to be interested in evaluation and sort of saying like, okay, I thought always this was rubbish or this was threatening, but now I see you could do something for me. I buy into that. Jump onto that, do a good evaluation, and then try to work with that person to make him or her a champion. You know, that is an opportunity not to be missed. And then a range of tools. I was saying earlier, capacity development does not equal training. This is, for me, this is the biggest problem we have in the capacity development assistance world, that people sort of think it is the same, and it definitely isn't. I think I've made the case about how important it is to think about the holistic approach. And so what you want to combine is the advocacy, the systems development, the training, a whole range of different things. And then finally, continuously learning, sharing experience. This is very much part of the good practice manual for capacity development, and it speaks to us, I would say. Sharing lessons and good practice, building milestones, performance indicators into the capacity development process, and then having the feedback and the discussions or reflection about what has worked and what hasn't worked. And your potential audiences for that feedback is within evaluation units, within the organization, and then again through the networks. So with that, I would like to close my presentation, and I welcome your questions.